Hello my friends, welcome to day number 8. Today we're going to be still working in the Raspberry Pi project of the LEDs, buzzers, and scratch games. And we're about midway through this. So we spent the last 2 days learning how to code the LED with the gpio pins. We spent yesterday trying to incorporate the buzzers. Today we're going to focus on the scratch, sound, and lights. And so the first thing that I want to do is I'm actually going to redesign my pins for my Raspberry Pi to actually fit the actual project. So when you're following along, it's not creating that confusion as we go. And so when we're looking at the project, what we're going to be doing today is mixing things up so our LEDs and our buzzer interact with sprites, the characters on your Scratch program. So now we're going to be having the digital and the physical objects, materials interacting and working with one another. And you're going to start to hopefully have some aha moments about the amazing possibilities that could come with this for future projects for yourself as well as for your own children and your students. So the first thing that I need to do is I'm going to readjust my pins here a little bit because I need to have GPIO pins 17, 23, and 25. And so I'm going to go ahead here and fix this up here real quick, and then we'll get into the project itself. So I just want to take a gander here. So 17 is going to be an LED, 23 will be an LED, and then 25 must be our buzzer. So I just want to double check here. Yep, okay. So 2 LEDs and a buzzer. So 17. All right, so if I'm looking at my GPIO pins, I'm going to have to readjust this. 17 is on the left column, and it is the 6th one down. So I'm going to pick on here, trying to see what I've got here. This one right here, my top one. I'm going to move to 17. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 here. All right, so the top light is in 17. 23 is going to be my next one. I'm just going to do the second light. And 23 then is on the right column and pin number 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that's actually where I had the buzzer in the previous project. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now the third light I don't actually need for this particular project, so I'm just going to pull that one out just so it's not causing confusion here. I'm going to leave it on the breadboard. And the last is our buzzer, which is going to be pin 25, which is pin 11 or 3 down from that second light we just plugged in. So I'm going to go ahead and take this one. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 here. Okay. So now that we have that, we're going to go ahead here now and we're going to do some programming. I see I got my light on, so I need to just get a new code here and just I'm just going to make sure my LED is off here, so I'm just going to just do this real quick. And that was 23. We're just going to turn that to off. There we go. It's off. So that's just a sample little program. I just want to default it. I don't actually need it for the project itself, but I want to make sure that LED was off, so when I'm testing properly. So what we need to do in this project is we need to pick a sprite. And the example they give us is the dinosaur. They choose the dinosaur because the sprite is red, like the LED in the project. I don't actually remember what light I have, but we'll go ahead and do that. So the way we do that in Scratch, if you've never added a sprite before, is we've got to go down to the sprite section of the code. And so that is over here. This is the current kind of sprite. We don't actually want the cat, so I'm going to go over here and delete him out. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to this little cat face to choose a sprite. And if I type in dinosaur, there we go. There's dinosaur number 2. All right. Okay, so now we've got dinosaur number 2. And what it's going to ask us to do is to write some code that when our sprite does something, our LED will do so as well. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to move the sprite so that it's in the right place and it's the right size, the right color, etc. So we're going to do what we've always been doing. We're going to start here with the event block of when the green flag is clicked. And what they want us to do here is go to motion, and we're going to tell the sprite where to go. So there is several go-to blocks. There's a random one, or there's this go-to right here, which will show us 2 options, our X and Y coordinates on the coordinate grid of this build here. And so we can go ahead and get that rocking and rolling here. And the way we do that, I want to see if I can, I was going to change something here, but it's fine. Okay. So in the program, it's going to tell us to put it -120 and 0. -120 and then 0. So let's see what happens when we do that. All right, we can see that it moved over here in our canvas of where our program is going to be. So you can see here what's going on. See this little red dinosaur right here? This lets us know that we are writing code specifically for this sprite. And so that's an important piece for us to keep in mind as we start to get multiple sprites. We can write individual code for each of the different projects. Okay, so if I wanted to, I could also just write the code all here in the backdrops as well if I just wanted one general place. So you can kind of pick your coding canvas as you start to get more immersed in this. You can have some pretty complex things going on, which is pretty sweet. So we've got that. Now what we want to do is we want to make sure that the dinosaur also coordinates with our LED lights. So we're going to put in a forever loop underneath this now. And the way we do that is we're going to go here to control. We are going to grab the forever block. All right. And in there, we're going to turn the LED on for a certain amount of time and then turn it off. So we're going to go to our light blocks that we have. We are going to turn the LED on. And in this case, remember this was LED 17. There we go. And once we have it on, we want to have a variable. We did this before in a previous project. We're going to put in a wait block. We want that to stay on for a certain amount of time. We can make it specific, or remember we could do this pick random to change the time so we kind of have variance in this wait. And in the example they had 1 to 2 seconds, so we'll just go ahead and do that as well so you can see what it does. And then we're going to repeat the same thing right here. So remember we can right click on these blocks, but this time we're going to go ahead and turn it off. So we'll drag that right there underneath, and we'll just switch this to off. Okay. So now, as we go, you can see that the light is blinking. Maybe I can dim this down a little more, so you can kind of see that blinking there, and that's just going to go automatically the entire time. So what we want to now do, now that we know that the light is working, let's add some code so something happens to the dinosaur whenever we have the LED lights going. So let's do this. We're going to go to looks here, and we're going to pick a change size block. What this does will change the size of your sprite, and let's change that by 30. So now you can see on my screen when it blinks, it's getting bigger. The problem you're going to see here naturally, hopefully you pick up on, is our sprite is just going to become huge. It's just going to keep growing and growing and growing. So we've got to put some code in here. We need to make sure that he's reset at the start of the code, and we want to set the size back to 100% whenever the lights turn off. So the way we do that here, as our friendly dinosaur here, Fred the dinosaur, we're going to add a block here. So we're going to pick a set size, and we're going to put it before it gets into that loop. We're going to add it right above. Okay, so let me go ahead and stop this. There we go. Stop the code. So now our code here is going to make this a little bit bigger so you can see it. Set him back to the original size that he was, and then it's going to kick into this loop. But we're going to have the same problem here. So what we need to do is we need to put that same block down below when we turn it off. So if we go here, we can set the size in to 100%, and it will now repeat. So if I go ahead and click this block here, okay, there he is. Old Fred's going to get big here, hopefully. There we go. Getting big and small with the light blinking. And so if we had a longer duration of the light, it would stay bigger for different times. So you can see how that's starting to work here now. All right, so now you should have success there. So let's go ahead now and let's bring in another sprite. So I'm going to go ahead and stop this code here. I'm going to go here now and choose a sprite. They've got Frank for this one, so I'm going to go ahead and type in Frank. We'll use him as well. All right, so now we've got a new coding palette for Frank, or I could go to the stage if I wanted to, but I'm going to keep it within the characters. It just makes it easier to isolate what code goes with what. And we're going to do a similar type of code here. Okay, so let's go ahead now and write our code up for Frank. It's going to be very similar to what we just did. We're going to go ahead and put in our events of when the green click. We're going to then change where we want Frank to end up. In this case, can't put him in the same spot where Fred our dinosaur is here. We got Fred and Frank. There we go. So we're going to go 0 and 0. All right. And we're going to set the size, just like we did before, to 100%. Make sure that's the same size that we have. We're going to then go back here now. We're going to put this forever loop in. And I'm just going through the same code again for you, just so you can kind of get practice of moving around the canvas and the coding blocks if you're not real comfortable with it. If you had all the code in the backdrop, you could have just right-clicked and copied, and away you go. It'd be a lot faster, I know. But we're going to go here now, and we're going to turn on LED. This is going to be, we did 17, so we have 23. All right, and we're going to do that wait again with the random blocks. Okay, we're going to go wait. We're going to go operator. We're going to pick random. insert that there. And we can change the time so it's a little bit different, so they're not moving at the same exact pace. In the example, they have 0.3 and 1.2. And then we can right click on this and duplicate it. This time we're going to turn them off. Now we got to add some stuff so he shrinks and grows just like we did with Frank the dinosaur. So we got to put those change blocks back in there, change size and then set size. So we're going to go back to looks here. So we're going to change, right there we go, change size. And we can make that, we'll just keep it 30. And then we will set the size down here back to 100%. Okay, so now let's test this to see how this looks here. We should have two lights now blinking. There we go. They're at different paces because we have the different weight block times. And you can see that they're kind of just bouncing back and forth, different clips, and sometimes on the same page, sometimes not. So you can see the lights on the Raspberry Pi, and you can see the sprites moving and grooving there as well. So let's keep going. Let's add some other effects. And so if you haven't explored effects, those are pretty cool. So we could go here, and let's go ahead and set an effect for Frank. And so the way we do that is we use this set color effect to 0. And we can drag that up, and we're going to put that right up top before it gets into the loop. And we could do color. You can play around with this. There's lots of options here. But I'll pick the world because that's what the example shows. But you can choose those as you wish. And now when we go to run this, we will have lots of cool effects. And so we need to add a few more of that block over here. So we're going to... We have it set the whirl effect to 0. Then we want to change the effect. We're going to put that right there along with the size. And let's make sure that's whirl as well. And you're going to see then we'll make this 200, so it's pretty drastic. And then the last thing we want to do is we got to make sure that it gets Fred gets back to the normal settings. So then we need to put that set block back in when we go to reset them back to normal size, because otherwise the swirl will just go crazy. So we'll go this route here as well. And now let's see what Frank does when we go to run this, as well as, we still got Frank and Fred here rocking it. You can see now Fred here has that cool swirl in his stomach, like, oh, I ate too much ice cream. Oh my goodness. So much candy. So much. Right? So there we go. We can see those effects. And you can play around with those different effects to find kind of what you like. And so we could do lots of different things. And so some of the examples that you'll see is you could set the size to a smaller percentage than 100%. You can make them smaller. So we can make Frank, let's make him 60. And we'll make this one 60, and just so you can see how you can also shrink them down. So you can just see there now how he's popping and growing and becoming a little bit smaller. All right. And now he's got one more thing we want to do. We haven't programmed the buzzer yet, so let's go ahead and do that. And we're going to go ahead and add another sprite. So we're going to go here to choose sprite. We're going to find the ghost. There it is. All right, and what we want to do then is similar type of stuff, okay? We're going to go here to our events when the green arrow's clicked, and we want to then put him in a position of, let's see here, we got go to, let's do 120, 0. You see that now they're all kind of together there. All right, we're going to set the size now to 60% like we just did exploring there, Fred. So what we're just going to apply that now here to this code. So we're going to apply 60. And Ghost be a little bit smaller. And so now what we're going to do is very similar code that we've been doing. Okay, so we're going to go ahead here and we're going to do the forever. But this time, remember, we're not going to do an LED. We're going to do the gpio pin. So we're going down here to the gpio pin extension. And we are going to choose the set gpio pin. So we bring this over here. Our gpio pin was 25. And we want that to be high. And then we're going to change the size by 30. So we're going to go here. Here it is. Change size by 30. Then we're going to do the weight block. And then the random. And then we will choose 0.03 to 0.3. And then we will duplicate this. And we're going to move this to low. And then we'll actually, we could probably just change out this change size block. And we're going to just set the size. We'll go here. Drag that over. Toss this one. And the size will be, there we go. And then we'll just change this as well. We'll make this so we have some more randomness, 0.5 to 1.5. And if we test this, let's just make sure this works. It's probably really hard for you to hear, but my buzzer is clicking randomly along with the changes of the ghost, so we know we've got that rocking and rolling. And then we could go through here and we could actually switch costumes. So you may or may not realize, but a lot of these sprites already have different costumes in place. And so if I were to go here to costumes, and we're in the ghost, we can see that there's 4 different frames of different designs for the ghost. And so what we want to do here then is we want to, after set the size to 60, let's change the costume. So we're going to pick switch costume. From here, let's pick Ghost A outfit. And then we could do this again under each of these. So we could pick here another costume change, and we could pick, C here. And then we could bring the costume back to the original format of costume A, like we had at the beginning. And now we can see our ghost now creeps his arms up. We got the lights going, we got the buzzer clicking. We're in really good shape here. All right, so now you can play around with other things. There's some different things available in this project in terms of you can have them save phrases, you can change different effects, you can change color, you can have them turn to green, you can have them move to different positions on the board. So your challenge now is to kind of move around, play around with it. You can change the background if you wish. Your challenge here for today is to take what we've learned here and then go ahead and apply it and create something new and unique, a new little routine with different effects and colors, backgrounds, whatever it is that you want. then go ahead and share that over in our Slack channel. All right, my friends, I hope you found this helpful. As always, stay awesome. Peace.